Welcome to Thunderbolt. Today we're talking about how to be a polyglot and how to learn languages. And to do that, I've invited Dahi. Welcome.
Hi.
All
Hello.
right. Polyglot yourself, right?
Yes.
So let's get right into it. How many languages do you speak?
Well, I do speak 6 languages, and those are French, Arabic, Korean, Spanish. If you count Moroccan to be a language as well. I do also speak a little bit of Hebrew.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, with Arabic, though, I know there are dialects, and some of these dialects are, it's not like dialects, they're more like different languages.
Yes.
So, if you count that, that's going to be even more.
I know. I actually take pride in, I speak standard Arabic, but I'm fluent in all dialects. And that would be Lebanese, Syrian, Egyptian, Moroccan, Algerian, Tunisian, and all that.
Wow, wow. Okay. Now, so you speak English and Arabic, French,
Yes.
right? And Spanish, you said?
Spanish.
I mean, just by that, you cover 80% of UN official language.
That is true, but it's important to note that there are very famous polyglots in the world that speak over 59 languages fluently.
Wow.
So I'm not even as close, but I'm trying to.
How has knowing 6 languages helped you?
To be honest, acquiring a second language or a third or a fourth or as many as you want
6,
these
yes.
days, helps you connect. When I say connect, it means it helps you learn about the world. And it helps you build friendships and relationships with people from all over the world, as well as get to know different cultures. The only way to connect to a culture is by knowing the language. If you don't know the language, you won't have a complete understanding of the culture, of the heritage as well as history. The difference when you read a book written in French originally, and then you read it written in English, you notice that, oh my God, that's not the same thing. So I will take the example of one of my favorite books, which is Madame Bovary. That's a very interesting book that was written a long time ago, I believe, during the Classicism era of the French Revolution. At that time, I read the book, first when I was 16 years old, I believe. And I noticed that, it's such a fun book. It's very interesting. It's a magical book that was ahead of its time. And then fast forward a few years later, I decided to read it in English. But then I didn't feel the same way I felt when I read it in French. Something was different.
The magic was lost.
I know. And then I tried to read it in Arabic again. I did. And it was just like, that's not it. That's completely different touch. Not that those languages mistranslated or anything, but it's just not the same. Yes, the magic is lost, as you said.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about technology now. A lot of the technologies are developing, and they're developing fast and actually pretty well. Maybe tech could replace the need for language learning.
Now, I agree to an extent. Not that I would use the word replace. I would use the word help, maybe. Help learn or acquire a new language. How? It's because, through technology, we can have applications that would help students basically have access to information online and have access to practice without teacher. And those applications are free of charge, so you don't really have to worry about the fees as well. However, it's hard to say that an AI a robot would replace replace language learning, because if you come to think about it, languages are not fixed yet. Languages keep on evolving. As humans evolve, languages evolve as well. Like, if you look at the English language, so many slangs, so many words, and so many new expressions have been added recently. And I don't think robots and AIs could keep up with that, like us humans.
Right.
Also, I don't think robots and AIs will be able to deliver the tones and undertones of certain expressions. They also will not be able to use idioms and kind of like hidden meaning, read between the lines.
Puns
Yes, true. Those are not easily replaced. Those need a human, emotional mind to be able to do that, yes.
One thing that technology is forcing us to be is to really learn English in a way, because most of these technologies are built and improved and developed dominantly in the English language. And we base most of our information in English. So if there are specific literature, specific information that have been written in Korean or Arabic, Japanese, Chinese, and if those things are not properly translated or cannot be translated or has not been updated, then these knowledge may not be able to spread. 6 languages is definitely impressive.
Thank you.
How do you learn? How do you learn languages?
Well, to be honest, it started at a very young age, and I would like to thank my mother for that. My mother is also a polyglot.
Oh, okay.
And I think she was very careful, especially with me, to instead of constantly give me my mother tongue language books or TV shows to watch or movies, she kind of exposed me to different languages at once. And I think that's important for the parents to know as well, that kids have higher ability to learn more vocabulary at a young age than they have when they're older. And that's because their brains work faster. And that's the age, I believe the age between 6 years old to all the way to 16, why not, or even younger. That's the age when children are capable of absorbing as much as they can of information, including vocabulary and, well, grammar and all that. How did I learn? I believe at first I read many books in different languages, and the funny part was sometimes I did not understand. So I started searching. What's this word? What's that word? Why is it said this way? Why is it not said this way?
So let me get this straight. So back, like when you're in early teen, you were looking at, you're reading the books in 3-4 different languages already?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
But by that time, I think I was already confident in certain languages that I can fully understand. But the thing is, when you learn many languages at once, you're not perfect at any of them. And that's okay. I believe at that time, that's your moment, that's your opportunity to learn more. As you read in different languages, you start to compare as well. Why is this said this way in this language? Why is it said that way in this language? And that will allow you to research more. When I had my first phone,
wow, okay.
I was in high school when I got my first phone.
Okay.
I started downloading applications like Duolingo and Babbel, if I'm saying it right, or Babel, I'm not sure.
Okay.
There are also applications like Hello Talk that would allow you to speak to native speakers. You can actually personalize your choices, and that would, and if you are native in a certain language, that would also help people connect to you to learn the language that you're fluent in. So because of that, I believe I got more confidence. And then I noticed that, yes, I am fluent in those languages, but I never have the chance to practice it with people. And that's when I started traveling. But when I started traveling, I basically started putting myself out there, which is something that a lot of language learners are afraid of. But they fail to remember that that's the only way to get better. Speaking a language or learning a language is not only through writing, vocabulary, grammar, it's also speaking and pronunciation as well. So imitating pronunciation is a great way to gain confidence as well in those languages.
When I went to States for the first time, I was, somewhat fluent, but one mission that I gave myself was to, learn a specific phrase or a sentence structure from what I'm hearing on that day. And I decided I'm going to take that sentence, change some of the words, and create a sentence of my own, so that then I will have acquired it. I have gained a new sort of say in that language. Imitating or mimicking is called. How useful is it? Or how useful has it been for you?
Well, it certainly has been useful getting compliments from people. Oh my God, your pronunciation is great. And that gives you confidence. Oh, I need to speak more. I need to show more of my abilities. That's also a plus. And also, it helps you just sound a lot more charming.
Right, because mimicking, I think, is you focus more on the flow of that sentence. You may not understand word by word, but you understand the context.
Exactly.
And you learn the intonation and stress and learn how it's said.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's hard because if I give you examples of those languages, now Arabic language has so many hard sounds, like a and kha. Those are very hard for a lot of other language speakers, but it takes practice. Now, French also have the ra sound, like ratatouille, for example. Those are not easy to practice, but the practice makes perfect.
Now, after doing all this, there should be a moment when you can actually tell yourself that, wow, I am now fluent. I am now able to use and speak this language in the way that I want to. How do you know when you're fluent?
Very interesting question, actually. I think that the first time I realized that I'm fluent in these languages is when I was able to read books in those languages, not necessarily understand word by word, but understand the meaning from the context. Because I have enough basic to be able to kind of fully understand what is the writer trying to say. As well as when I speak to native speakers or people who use this language on a regular basis, I can deliver my message. And you know you're fluent not by how many words you know or how spot on your grammar is, but more of, am I able to communicate my emotions, my thoughts, and my ideas through this language? Or do I have to like sit down and be like, oh my God, what is this? Why you can't say that? The moment you're still there, you're not fluent yet. I believe that the moment I realized I was really fluent is when I have a French best friend, and she's native French speaker. I'm not. We had a fight, like friends do, and I wanted to express exactly how I feel about the situation, and I was able to. I was able to deliver my message to her, even using figurative language and kind of humor as well, to deliver my message. And it was correct. It was spot on. Korean as well. If we take Korean as an example, I live in Korea now, and it means I have friends, and I have a partner, and we fight. Right. And so because of that, sometimes it's hard to deliver everything I want to say in English if the other person is not fluent in that language. So I believe that the moment I started communicating with that person, communicate my emotions and my thoughts through the language to that person, and him being able to understand what I'm trying to say exactly, that's when I realized I'm pretty good.
So one thing I guess both you and I may agree is this: we consider ourselves bi or polylingual, not because of some test scores or some schooling, but because of our confidence and because of our understanding and because of our ability to deliver our feelings and emotions and connect with people, that sort of thing, right?
Yes,
good.
I agree.
Now, my last and final question is this. Now, you are here as a teacher, so you had noticed how Korean students are learning English, and some work, some doesn't, some don't. So how can, in your opinion, Korean students learn English well?
To see if I can answer this question perfectly, I might have just solved the entire educational system issues, right? But I will try my best to put it in bullet points.
Sure.
First of all, I think that the lack of exposure to the language, if we just limit our children to school learning only, that's not as beneficial as we might think. And why I'm saying this is because children, a lot of them feel forced to learn English. And I had this conversation with our students, 16-year-old students, where they just feel like they have to go to academies and they have to learn the language because if they don't, they can't pass. So they have this mentality, test or exam-oriented mentality, or mindset that, they have to do this because they have to. And the moment you take the fun away from a learning process, that's it, you lost. So I think that our students should find fun in learning languages, whether it's through watching movies, if that's what they like, listen to music, if that's what they like. I have many friends who are based in different countries, but are fluent in Korean just because they listen to K-pop. And that, I believe that's amazing. If you use entertainment, if you use things that you like to learn a certain language, that's great. If you like reading books, that's amazing too. A book is your best friend. If you take a book of a different language and you try to read it, it doesn't matter if you understand or not. Just try to follow. Before you sleep, like 15, 20 minutes, just read a different English book, then why not? That would help you a lot. I would also tell our students to start using applications because there are many like games that they can play. And those are very easy games. So they just give you a word and they say, what's the definition?
Right,
and then you click on the definition and then, they pop a balloon for you. Congratulations. And that's actually very encouraging. I used to love doing that all the way to 20 years old. So, I mean, it's a great way. I would also tell our students to put themselves out there. Don't be scared of speaking the language. Don't be scared of speaking English. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect at it.
Right.
Now, the problem is they think because they learned English from kindergarten, then they're supposed to be fluent already. No, that's not the case. Even native speakers are not perfect at their own language.
Right.
And that's okay. I believe that there's this expectation from these kids that they have to be great at everything. I don't think that's the way to go. You should definitely take it easy, put yourself out there, and you'll be surprised at how much benefit you can get from exposing yourself to the language and practicing it as well.
Thank you for everything. A lot of good talk have been made here today. And it will inspire our students to learn more. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for having me.